In a vast chamber on the Galactic Council ship, leaders from different planets gathered around a massive round table. The air was thick with tension as they discussed an urgent matter, the threat of humanity. This gathering was unlike any other. It was a meeting that could change the fate of the galaxy. Commander Zarn, a tall figure with shimmering scales, stood up to address the group. "We cannot ignore the reports from our scouts. Humans are becoming more aggressive. They do not follow our rules." Some council members scoffed at his words. "Humans? They are nothing but a primitive species," said Lady Vela, her voice dripping with arrogance. "They barely travel beyond their own planet. How can they pose a threat to us?" Zarn's eyes narrowed. "It is precisely that underestimation that could lead to our downfall. They have a unique ability to adapt and fight back. We must prepare for the worst." The council chamber buzzed with whispers. Some members nodded in agreement with Zarn, but many continued to dismiss his warnings. "Let us send a fleet to show them our strength," suggested Lord Thrak, his voice booming. "A show of force will teach them their place." Zarn shook his head. "A direct attack will only provoke them further. We need to study their tactics and technology first. We cannot rush into this," but the majority of the council was set on their path. They were convinced that a swift, overwhelming strike would end the problem. They decided to launch a preemptive attack, believing it would demonstrate their power and make humans submit. As the meeting adjourned, Zarn felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. He knew that underestimating humans could lead to disaster. He had heard tales of their bravery and resilience, stories of ordinary people standing up against great odds. They were not to be taken lightly. Meanwhile, on Earth, the news of the Galactic Council's intentions had begun to spread. A network of spies, loyal to the humans, reported back with crucial information. They had learned about the Council's plans and knew that the time for action was drawing near. In a small room filled with maps and screens, Earth's top military leaders gathered. General Harlan, a seasoned veteran with a scar across his cheek, spoke passionately. "We need to prepare for war. The Council thinks they can crush us without a second thought, but they do not know what we are capable of." The leaders agreed. They knew that they had to be smarter than their enemies. They began drafting plans that relied on creativity and unconventional tactics. They would not simply stand and wait for the Council to strike. In the following days, the atmosphere on Earth changed. People from all walks of life started to come together. Soldiers, scientists, and ordinary citizens united with a single purpose: to defend their planet. As the preparations began, whispers of hope spread throughout the land. "We are not alone," they said. "We will fight back." Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Zarn tried to convince his fellow leaders to rethink their approach. "We should consider a different strategy. Let us send diplomats to Earth instead. We can try to reason with them." But the Council was too far gone in their arrogance. They laughed at Zarn's suggestion. "Diplomacy with humans? Ridiculous. They will only understand power," one member sneered. Zarn felt frustration boiling inside him. He knew the truth. Humans were unpredictable, and their spirit could not be broken easily. The Council's plans were set, and Zarn feared the consequences of their actions. As the day of the attack drew near, Zarn resolved to act. He would gather intelligence on humans, understanding their strengths and weaknesses. He hoped that somehow he could avert the disaster he sensed looming on the horizon. The storm of war was brewing, and both sides were preparing for a clash that would change everything. The Galactic Council was confident in their superiority, while humans were united in their determination to fight for their home. Little did they know that the battle ahead would reveal just how wrong they both were. The Galactic Council buzzed with excitement and confidence as the day of the attack approached. But not everyone shared the same enthusiasm. Commander Zarn remained deeply concerned. He knew that underestimating humans could lead to their downfall. As the Council prepared to strike, Zarn urged them to gather more information. "We need to understand our enemy better. We can't just rely on our power," he insisted during a meeting. But many Council members dismissed his warnings. "Why waste time?" Lady Vela scoffed. "Humans are nothing compared to us. We'll crush them easily." The room filled with laughter, and Zarn felt a wave of frustration wash over him. Determined to prove them wrong, Zarn organized a mission to send scouts to Earth. He chose a small, skilled team of spies who could blend in with humans. Their mission was clear: gather as much information as possible about human technology, tactics, and morale. As the spies prepared for their journey, Zarn reminded them, Be cautious. Humans can be unpredictable. Don't engage unless absolutely necessary. The team nodded, understanding the importance of their task. Meanwhile, on Earth, people were coming together like never before. The news of the impending attack fueled their spirit. In a large auditorium, General Harlan addressed thousands of citizens. "We may be outnumbered, but we are not weak. We will fight for our homes, our families, and our future." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Ordinary people felt inspired. They began training and organizing in their communities. Teachers, doctors, and even shopkeepers joined the effort. Everyone wanted to contribute to the defense of Earth. Back on the Galactic Council ship, the spies returned with critical information. Zarn gathered the council to share their findings. Humans are smarter than we thought. They have advanced technology, and their creativity is unmatched. They are not just fighters, they are strategists. But many council members remained skeptical. "This is just a ploy to scare us," one member said dismissively. "We have superior firepower and technology. We will win, no matter what." Zarn felt a deep sense of unease. He shared more details from the spy's report. Humans are developing new weapons and strategies. They are collaborating in ways we never expected. They believe they can defend themselves and they will fight fiercely. Still, the council laughed off his concerns. They were convinced that their overwhelming force would crush the humans in no time. "Why are we wasting our resources?" Lady Vela shouted. "Let's move forward with the attack." Days passed, and both sides prepared for war. On Earth, communities formed defense teams. Engineers and scientists worked together to improve their technology. They created makeshift weapons and fortified their cities. People shared ideas and encouraged each other, growing stronger with each passing day. Zarn continued to push for caution. "We must rethink our strategy. The humans are organizing and becoming more prepared every moment. If we attack now, we might face unexpected resistance." Some council members nodded, but many continued to mock his fears. They were confident in their superiority, and Zarn felt increasingly isolated. The more he learned about humans, the more worried he became. He knew they had a spirit that could not be easily broken. As the day of the attack approached, Zarn made one final attempt to convince the council. "If we are to win this war, we must not only rely on our strength, but also understand our enemy. Let us send diplomats to negotiate before it's too late." His plea fell on deaf ears. The council decided to launch their attack without further delay. They believed they could teach the humans a lesson, and nothing would stop them. Zarn left the meeting feeling hopeless. He knew that this decision would lead to a clash of wills that neither side expected. The storm of war was not just brewing, it was about to explode, and both the Galactic Council and humanity were unprepared for the consequences of their actions. The clash of these two worlds would change everything. As news of the Galactic Council's impending attack spread across Earth, a wave of determination swept through the planet. Citizens from all walks of life began to rally together, realizing that their very existence was at stake. This was not just a battle for land, it was a fight for their future. In a bustling city, General Harlan stood before a large crowd gathered in the central square. People filled the area, their faces a mix of fear and resolve. "We may be small compared to the stars, but our spirit is strong," he shouted, his voice ringing with passion. "We will not go down without a fight!" Cheers erupted, echoing through the streets. Families, friends, and neighbors joined hands, united by a common cause. They shared stories of bravery, reminding each other of the countless times humans had faced adversity and triumphed. Across the globe, communities began to organize. In small towns and big cities alike, people formed defense groups. Local leaders emerged, inspiring others with their courage. Engineers and scientists collaborated, pooling their knowledge to create new technologies. They transformed factories into workshops, where makeshift weapons were built and plans were drawn. In one town, a group of engineers gathered in an old warehouse. They had turned the space into a makeshift lab. "We need to improve our communication systems," one young engineer suggested. "If we can coordinate our efforts, we'll have a better chance against the council." Another engineer nodded. "Let's create a network that connects us all. We can share information quickly and respond faster." As they worked late into the night, their excitement grew. They knew they were part of something bigger. Each tool they built and each plan they made brought them closer together as a united front. Meanwhile, in schools and community centers, people held meetings to discuss their strategies. Teachers turned classrooms into war rooms, teaching students about history and the importance of standing up for their rights. "We must learn from the past," a teacher said passionately. "Our ancestors fought for freedom, and now it's our turn to fight for ours." As the days passed, the spirit of unity spread like wildfire. Neighbors who had once kept to themselves now worked side by side. Even those who had been skeptical about the threat of the Galactic Council began to see the importance of joining the fight. In one town, a local shopkeeper, Mrs. Alvarez, organized a supply drive. She urged people to donate anything useful: food, tools, and medical supplies. "We need to support each other," she said, her eyes shining with determination. "Every little bit helps." As donations poured in, the sense of community grew stronger. The townspeople shared their resources, knowing they were all in this together. Children helped organize supplies, while adults trained in self-defense and emergency response. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, Zarn watched the events on Earth unfold through his screens. He was filled with both admiration and concern. "Look at them unite," he murmured to himself. "They are not as weak as we believed." Despite the Council's confidence, Zarn felt a knot of dread in his stomach. He knew that the humans were rising to the challenge in ways the Council had never anticipated. The more he learned about their efforts, the more he realized the depth of their resolve. As the final preparations for the attack neared, General Harlan and his team held a final meeting. "We may face overwhelming odds, but together, we are stronger," he told the group. "This is our home, and we will protect it. Let's show the Galactic Council that humans are not to be underestimated." The crowd erupted in applause, their faces glowing with hope and determination. They knew the battle ahead would not be easy, but their unity gave them strength. With hearts full of courage, humans prepared for the fight of their lives. As the Galactic Council prepared to unleash their might, they remained blind to the storm of unity and resilience that was building on Earth. Little did they know, they were about to face a force unlike anything they had ever encountered before. The clash of worlds was inevitable, and the spirit of humanity would soon shine bright against the darkness. The day had finally arrived. The Galactic Council's massive fleet hovered in the darkness of space, ready to launch their attack on Earth. Ships of all shapes and sizes filled the skies, gleaming with advanced technology. Inside the command ship, Commander Zarn felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. He had tried to warn the Council, but their confidence remained unshaken. "Prepare for launch!" ordered Lord Thrak, his voice booming across the command room. The Council members were eager for battle, their eyes glinting with anticipation. They believed this would be an easy victory. Back on Earth, the atmosphere was electric with tension and determination. General Harlan stood in front of a large screen, showing the Council's ships approaching. "This is it," he said, his voice steady. "We have trained for this moment. We will not back down!" The defenders of Earth were positioned across key locations. In cities and fields, people took their places, armed with makeshift weapons and high spirits. They had created a network of communication, allowing them to coordinate their movements. Ordinary citizens became heroes, ready to fight for their home. As the first ships of the Council descended through the atmosphere, alarms blared across Earth. The sky darkened as the colossal vessels blocked out the sun. Fear gripped some, but most stood firm. They had come too far to turn back now. "Ready the defenses!" General Harlan shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. The defenders activated their makeshift weapons, lasers and projectiles aimed at the incoming fleet. They had no idea how powerful the Council's technology was, but they were ready to fight. The first shots were fired. Bright flashes lit up the sky as the Council's ships unleashed their firepower. Missiles and lasers rained down, targeting Earth's defenses. The ground shook with the force of the blasts, and buildings trembled. But the humans did not falter. They fired back with everything they had. Their ingenuity shone through as they used their makeshift weapons to strike at the Council ships. Some brave defenders climbed to higher ground to get better shots, while others worked together to create barriers against the incoming fire. Zarn watched in shock as the humans fought back fiercely. "They're not giving up," he muttered, realizing how wrong the Council had been. The humans were working together in ways that the Council had never expected. As the battle raged on, a group of human fighters managed to breach the outer defenses of the Council's fleet. They soared through the sky in their small but agile ships, launching surprise attacks against the larger vessels. Their courage and determination inspired others to join the fight. General Harlan coordinated the ground forces, directing teams to respond to the Council's attacks. "Move to the east flank," he ordered, pointing to the screen showing the enemy's position. "We need to push them back." The defenders rallied, following Harlan's commands. They fought with everything they had, drawing strength from their unity. Each victory fueled their determination, while each setback only made them more resolute. Despite their advanced technology, the Council began to realize that they were facing a well-coordinated and determined enemy. Their confidence wavered as they witnessed the human spirit in action. The humans were not just defending their planet, they were fighting for their lives. Meanwhile, Zarn felt a growing sense of urgency. He knew he had to do something to change the course of the battle. He decided to take matters into his own hands and sent a message to the Council's command ship. "We must reconsider our strategy. We cannot underestimate them any longer." But his plea was met with resistance. "We are winning!" shouted Lady Vela, her voice filled with anger. Why would we change our plan now? Zarn knew that if they continued to ignore the humans' strength, they would face severe consequences. As the battle unfolded, he began to plan a way to reach out to the humans, hoping to find a peaceful solution before it was too late. The battle raged on, and both sides suffered losses. But the humans fought on with unwavering spirit, proving that they were a force to be reckoned with. As explosions lit up the sky, it became clear that this was only the beginning of a conflict that would change everything. The fight for Earth had just begun, and neither side would back down easily. The battle raged on for hours, each moment filled with chaos and courage. Earth's defenders fought with fierce determination, but the Galactic Council's advanced technology was a formidable foe. Both sides suffered losses, and the sky was filled with smoke and debris. However, the spirit of humanity remained unbroken. As the sun began to set, casting an orange glow over the battlefield, General Harlan stood among his troops, determination etched on his face. "We cannot give up now," he shouted, rallying his forces. "We fight for our homes, our families, and our future." His words sparked a fire in the hearts of the defenders. They pressed on, launching one last coordinated attack against the Council's ships. Fighter jets flew overhead, weaving through enemy fire, while ground troops advanced, pushing back the enemy lines. Meanwhile, Commander Zarn watched from the command ship, his heart heavy with worry. He had always believed in the power of diplomacy and communication, but the Council had been too blinded by arrogance to listen. Now, as he witnessed the bravery of the humans, he realized that they were not the weak beings he had been led to believe. "Enough!" Zarn finally shouted, standing up in front of the Council leaders. "We must find a way to communicate with them. This battle will lead to our mutual destruction if we do not change our approach." The other Council members hesitated, their faces a mix of shock and disbelief. Lady Vela, still confident, scoffed. "Why would we negotiate with them? They are nothing!" Zarn's eyes blazed with determination. "They are fighting with everything they have. We cannot ignore their strength any longer. We must show them that we are willing to talk." At that moment, the tide of the battle shifted. A group of human fighters managed to breach the main defenses of the Council's command ship. They flew in low and fast, their hearts pounding with adrenaline. The humans were fearless, pushing forward with everything they had. As they prepared for a direct strike, Zarn saw an opportunity. He quickly activated the ship's communication system and broadcasted a message to the humans. "This is Commander Zarn of the Galactic Council. We seek to negotiate. We do not wish to destroy you." The human fighters hesitated, their weapons still aimed at the ship. General Harlan, receiving the transmission, felt a spark of hope. "Is this a trick?" he wondered aloud. But the sincerity in Zarn's voice seemed genuine. "Hold your fire!" Harlan ordered his team. "Let's see what they have to say." Zarn continued, "We understand that our actions have caused pain and fear. We want to find a way to end this conflict peacefully. Together we can avoid more loss." After a tense moment of silence, Harlan made a decision. "Commander Zarn, if you truly mean what you say, we will agree to meet. But know this, if this is a trap, we will not hesitate to defend our home." Zarn nodded, relieved. "I promise it is not a trap. Let us meet and find a way to build a future together." The human fighters slowly lowered their weapons, exchanging cautious glances. The battle had not yet been won, but this was a chance for peace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the sky began to lighten with the promise of a new dawn. In the days that followed, representatives from both sides met in a neutral zone on Earth. The tension in the air was palpable, but both sides were ready to listen. Humans shared their stories of resilience, and council members expressed their desire to understand and learn from each other. Zarn and Harlan stood at the forefront of this historic meeting. "We have seen the strength of humanity, and it has inspired us," Zarn said earnestly. "We wish to create a new alliance, one based on respect and understanding." Harlan replied, "We have much to learn from each other. Together, we can ensure that no one else faces the same threat we just did." As discussions continued, hope began to blossom. Both sides recognized that they could work together, combining their strengths to face the challenges of the universe. The battle had shown them that cooperation could lead to a brighter future. As the sun rose on a new day, both humans and council members stood united. They had survived a conflict that could have ended in devastation. Instead, they had chosen a path of understanding and friendship. The dawn of a new era was upon them, one filled with promise and the potential for great things. From that day forward, Earth and the Galactic Council forged a partnership that would change the galaxy. Together, they vowed to protect not just their worlds, but all life in the universe. A new chapter had begun, and it was one of hope, courage, and unity.